This is not an easy question to answer for many people in the world after a hard romantic breakup. Should we be in touch with them at all? Should we try to be friends with them? Should we reach out to them and see how they're doing? And, all of this depends on a couple factors. Number one is how long were you guys together before the breakup? If you were together for 2 days or 5 days or 7 days and it just didn't work, I think reaching out and saying, hey, sorry, this didn't work, but if you want to be friends or do anything like that at all, I'm open to it. But that's after a very, very short relationship, right? I think the most important thing to think about is that most of us, when we have a rough relationship breakup, it's been going on for quite a while. There were probably signs from the very beginning that this may not be easy. There may be conversations we never had about money or sex or religion or whatever it might be. And so if it's a long-term relationship, meaning a year or longer, and you've done everything in your power to try to save it from your side, and it just isn't working, and you'll probably end in chaos and drama, the best thing to do is to not be in any contact at all for a minimal of 60 days. Now, in many times I'll work with my clients and say a minimal of 90 days or 6 months, right? It really depends on how insane and how crazy it was. If there's betrayal, if there's a bunch of lying and betrayal on the other person's part and you feel that you've held your integrity pretty well, you want to keep that integrity and not reach out. And here's the reasons why. Why do we say, a 60 days minimum? Well, there's this amazing hormone called oxytocin. And in a relationship where you've been intimate, that hormone has been released constantly. There's more oxytocin. It's called the bonding hormone in women than men. And so it has a tendency to have a withdrawal effect. So after 7 or 14 days, someone reaches out and just says, hey, I hope you're okay. And the other person says, oh, it's so great to hear from you. I hope you're great. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're back in bed together. Or before you know it, you're back talking about dating again. Way too soon. Oh my God, way too soon. See, that's the hormonal challenge that we have. And then we have the subconscious challenge that we have to look at. I'm going to be alone. Oh my God. And I'm this age. I'm 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. I don't want to be alone. That can be a subconscious pull to reach out and touch base with this person. But the real issue is that unless you have worked with a professional and cleared up your end of the game, there's no need whatsoever for a minimal of 60 days to reach out and to see how they are or see what's going on, because it's probably going to lead to something not healthy at all. But if you work with a professional, you find, oh my God, I've been codependent. I've opened the door and let this person back in way too many times. That's my responsibility. I've been blaming them the whole time, for their chaos and drama. But actually, they couldn't have done it if I didn't get back together with them, right? I mean, I've been there. You've probably been there. But if you wait 60 days, the oxytocin withdrawal will have gone away. The logic will have come in. And hopefully during those 60 days, you're working with a professional to see what it was that your role was. And you're also working with a professional to forgive that other person. And why is forgiveness so important at the end of a bad breakup? Because if you don't, you're going to carry your jadedness into the next relationship. And the odds are, if you don't clean all this up before you meet someone new, you're just going to repeat the pattern. You'll attract the same type of person with the same negative characteristics or different characteristics that are still negative in nature. Different face, different body, different name. Could be the same end result. So we really say take your time. Now, if it's a super long relationship, 10 years, even 5 years, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we'll say unless you have children or something like that, just don't reach out again for a year. At the end of the year, there's a good chance that you're grounded, you've forgiven yourself, you've forgiven them, and maybe you can be friends. One of the things that's happened in my life is that I have, several women I've dated in the past that when the relationship ended, it was about probably 6 months later, we became incredible friends. I can think of 2 or 3 off the top of my head right now that, I contact and I'm in touch with on a regular basis. They both moved on. They're in new relationships. I have no attraction to wanting to get back with them, but they're great people. But I waited 6 months to a year, and then there's other people that I just won't reach out to. It just isn't healthy for me. Probably isn't healthy for them either. So if you need help, you're on the fence and you're trying to figure out, what do I do? They keep texting me or they keep calling or what do I do, David? How do I handle this? Reach out to me at talkdavid.com. Life is short. To go back to insanity is insanity. And yet because of the pull of the subconscious of not wanting to be alone or not wanting to go back out into the wild dating world or the oxytocin response of withdrawal, it can be hard. That's why you need an accountability partner, a coach, a counselor, a therapist to hold your feet to the ground and to make sure you're able to vent your concerns. But at the same time, have a plan that is the best for you. This is what we're missing. The best for you, self-love, self-care. And in many cases, that means not reaching out again. And I'm not being brutal here. I'm just being honest. If you need help, go to talkdavid.com. I would love to do this work with you. 45 years as a counselor, 16 best-selling books. We can do some great work together at talkdavid.com. Have a beautiful day.